Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Peter Wright. Can you tell me your full name, please?
My full name is Do Hoang Mai Khoi, but you can call me Khoi.
And can you tell me where you're from?
I'm from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
So in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself. Let's talk about where you live. Do you live in a house or an apartment?
I currently am living in an apartment. I'm working away from home right now. I come from the south of Vietnam, but right now I'm living in the north and working here. So I rented an apartment because it seems like a wise choice right now.
So can you describe your apartment?
My apartment, well, it's small. It's a shared house. I'm renting a room in there. And I don't really have a window. I have a skywell though, so it gives me a little bit of some natural light. And otherwise, I also have a bathroom, and my space is very well divided, so I feel pretty comfortable in it.
And what's your favorite room?
Since I don't have rooms, my room is basically a studio, so I'd say that is my favorite room. It's got everything I need, really. I have a bed, I even have a sofa, and home cinema kind of situation going on where I have a projector and speakers and I can watch films on my white wall, and it's amazing.
So do you think you'll live in this place in the future?
Oh, absolutely not. This is not where I picture myself to be in the next 5 years. So I'm aiming for something bigger, but right now I'm just here because I'm doing this work. And in the future, I might move somewhere else, maybe even go abroad. Honestly, I would want to own a house for myself, small one, not too big, but definitely not an apartment like this.
Let's move on and talk about cooking. And who's the best cook in your family?
Best cook in my family is my grandma. She has been told that she has a talent for cooking. Everybody loves her cooking. She usually cooks for our family parties, all of the death anniversaries, birthdays, weddings, stuff like that. And she has a huge book of recipes that she's accumulated over the years. And one day, I hope to inherit that, even though I don't cook, but it sounds like a good piece of history to have.
Do you enjoy cooking?
Sometimes I do. I consider cooking as a means of outletting my creativity. And I usually get really creative when I cook. So for example, last night I was so hungry. I had very few ingredients in my pantry and I decided to make pasta that I eat with soy sauce, which I know sounds very crazy, but I do that. And I also stir fry seaweed, which is probably not a good combination now that I know. And yeah, I'm very experimental when it comes to cooking. And I don't like traditional cooking at all. I don't like following recipes. I like going it at my own pace. You know?
Do you prefer home cooking or eating in restaurants?
It depends on who's cooking the home cooking. Right, so if I have to cook for myself, then probably not. But if I were to have home cooked food by my mother or my grandmother, I would so much prefer that because it fits my palate very well. And also it doesn't cost that much. Eating out is very costly.
Let's move on and talk about learning a language. And which languages have you tried to learn?
I aspire to be a polyglot. So I have tried a lot of languages. I've tried Japanese, Spanish, Italian, German, French, English. And so far I've only mastered English and a little bit of German. I used to speak Japanese, but it's been a while and I got really rusty.
So now I'm going to give you a topic and I'd like you to talk about it for 2 minutes. Before you speak, you have a minute to think about what you're going to say and you can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, here's your paper and pen for making notes and here's your topic. I'd like you to describe a website that you find useful.
Okay.
So remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this, so don't worry if I stop you, and I'll tell you when your time's up. So can you start speaking now, please?
All right. So a website that I find especially useful is Wikipedia. Now, I know a lot of people have a lot of controversial ideas about Wikipedia itself, but for me, it's a very, very useful website. All right. So Wikipedia, as you all know, is an open source online encyclopedia where Wikipedians can contribute anything to the content of the encyclopedia. So because of its open source nature, people don't take its credibility highly, right? So a lot of critics say that the content is not well regulated, and sometimes it's not well organized. So people tend to stay away from it, especially when it comes to research. But I use it for research, and I'm not shameful about that. Well, I use it for research either on silly subjects like my favorite actors and actresses, looking up their filmography, or looking up their, biography. And I also use that for more cryptic topics, like the cryptids, or maybe, just weird topics from the internet. And I usually go down the rabbit hole whenever I'm on Wikipedia, because there's this link after link after link. And at a time when I was in university, I also used it for my research paper. And I gotta say, it has saved me, seriously, because when I started my university thesis, I did not know where to start, and it gave me a lot of information for subject breakdown, and that was absolutely a lifesaver. Right, so I use it every now and then to, explore all my whims and answer all of my questions about things.
Thank you.
Okay.
So would you recommend this website to others?
Oh, yes, definitely. I know there are a lot of backlash on this topic, but it's very useful, especially when you don't know anything about the topic. And I must say this a lot of time, because if you don't know anything about it, this is the best tool that you can get to, look up for some basic information so that you know where to go off from there.
Thank you. So we've been talking about a website that you find useful, and now I'd like to ask you 1 or 2 more general questions related to this. So let's talk about government censorship of websites. How do you feel about that?
Right, internet censorship. Well, it's a very sensitive topic. A lot of people say that the government's doing it for the good of the people. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are saying that it's a violation of our freedom on the cyberspace. Mm-hmm. And for me, I would lean towards the latter, because no matter how you look at it, it's still a violation of the freedom of pursuing information and the freedom of speech in the cyberspace. Right. So internet censorship can be useful when the government is only censoring out certain content that are considered offensive, like harassment, bullying, or homophobia, right? But to censor some websites, I don't think that's necessary, right? Because on the website, whatever website is, the information is curated, it's supposedly legal, mm-hmm. so that the people who access the website can approach any type of information that they want to, right? And yeah, so that's why I don't think it is sensible for the government to actually exercise internet censorship on website. They can do it on certain keywords and content and stuff, but not on actual websites.
Okay. And what about young children, very young children, like below 7 or 8? Should they be allowed, in your opinion, to freely access the internet?
Right, that's a toughie. Okay, so again, there could be a lot of ways that you can look at this. I would say that ignorance is not bliss all the time. Well, even if you don't want your children to be negatively influenced by something, you still have to give them knowledge about that topic so that they would know to avoid, right? So I'd say, yes, show them how to use the internet. Allow them to do that, but also teach them how to do it right and teach them what to move away from or stay away from in order to protect themselves, right? So yeah, they can be. And if they're, if they can read and stuff like that, it would be much more useful. But also remember to teach them how to protect themselves on the cyberspace. The parents can do it by themselves actually too, by allowing kids to be online through kid-safe browsers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can install the browsers, or you can install like plugins on your regular Chrome, Firefox, or Safari browsers also. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can control the content that they're exposed to.
In the future, how do you see the internet developing?
So I think the internet is pretty much developed by now. And in the future, I think it's just going to be more information, more content. That's it. Mm-hmm. And the more the internet grows, the more data that there's going to be. So I think there's going to have to be some improvement or advancement in data technology so that they can store such huge amounts of data without having to take up too much physical space. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's about it.
What do you think the negatives are of so much data collection? Can it be abused?
Of course it is. Right, so data collection, also a very controversial topic. Right, so a lot of people say that collecting data is actually helpful for the users themselves, because through the collection of data, companies can find out the census, and they can design products and services that suit better to the needs of the people who are using them. But some people find that data collecting is very sensitive because they don't want their data to be out there in the world for everybody to see. But yeah, I mean, there are ups and downs to this depending how you look at it. But for me, I think it is absolutely useful. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And that's the end of the test. Thank you.
Thank you.